Morning. Welcome to today's live stream. Today is Friday, December the 15th, and we're on for another scalping session on the 30-second chart for Nasdaq 100 futures. All right, I was just taking a peek at our calendar for the day, and we did have news this morning at 8:30. We had news at 9:15 and at 9:45. So all of that news has been delivered. We now can trade for the rest of the day without any interruption from additional news sources. However, we do need to be mindful of the news that was just released and allow price to settle and start printing in the direction that it wants. So then we can follow suit and choose some scalps. So since we just passed the 10 o'clock hour and we had news about 15 minutes ago, two red folders, opposite confirmations. One was below forecast and the other was just slightly above forecast. And this was both surveys from purchasing managers, one from manufacturing and one from servicing, where they survey and try to figure out what their orders are looking like and whether they're optimistic about the future. So we'll give price a few minutes to settle in, and then we'll start the scalping session. Ennis, good morning. How are you? Guess I take that back. I say good morning because it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me, but I know it's the end of your work day. Or somewhere close to it, probably late afternoon. I got something in the other room. I'll be right back. Here we are. Oh, 1600. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm marking the first setup here if we get a new high. Just trying to get into the rhythm of the market this morning. So I'm not sure I'll take this first trade, but I do want to mark it up just so I can watch it. And this is all contingent on whether we get a new high. Hey, Anis, did I hear you the other day say that you were in Morocco? Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Yeah, Morocco's always been on my bucket list of places to visit. My wife has visited there before, but I've never been. I used to work in the container terminal industry, and I almost had a trip booked to Tangier on the other side of the strait. Yeah, it's still on the list. Don't worry. I will make it for sure. I've been many places in the Middle East and North Africa, but that's still on my list. I'm gonna make it. All right. So we had it was one tick away from equaling the high. that was set at 9:45. But what we needed to do, we needed to go through at least by one tick. So we'll continue to wait, and we won't be faked out by this movement that's happening right now. What it may want to do is it may be taking out a low, some liquidity from here, and then it's going to seek these highs. Otherwise, it's just going to continue lower. And this was the high that's protected. It's not going to be eclipsed right now. So one of those two things are going to happen. We've already had the sweep of the lows, so now we'll see if price wants to return to the highs or whether it wants to break down further. Okay, there we go. I was looking at one of my other screens. I wasn't even paying attention. All right, let's see now what happens here, whether the setup is working or not. Okay. So no entry there. And now it's already made a new high. So if I had a limit order, I would have canceled the limit order. Let's move this out of the way. Let's see, the low on this candle was 16,832.25, and 30% entry 16,831.75. So half of a tick. Well, 2 ticks, half of a point. Move this. Hmm. Okay, another new high. Then mark up the next swing low as the earliest point that a swing low can be swept. Okay, while we wait for the next setup, let me just quickly walk through the most recent setup for anyone who's who's new to the channel, or anyone who's watching it at home on a replay. Uh, so we started the session this morning at 10 o'clock. So I cranked up, opened the charts, started peeking at where we've been and kind of where we are now, since we're looking for the most recent trend, and it's short-term scalping. I did take a peek at the 5-minute, 15-minute, hourly, just to see what happened overnight. There wasn't a lot of movement, a lot of range. So I was pretty comfortable going with whatever's been happening for the last 30 minutes to an hour. And just before 10 o'clock, I could see that there was a low place, excuse me, around 9:30. And then it was bullish momentum out after that, higher highs and higher lows, right? Then there was a retracement done around 9:45. And then price was just kind of trickling around, but it hadn't made new lows. And it was, even though it was trickling, it was still moving in a bullish direction. So from there, I realized that during this retracement, there was a low taken. And so the way the strategy works is, first you need a high to be made, and then you need a low to be swept. Since this low wasn't swept after this high, and I'm just arbitrarily grabbing this high. I mean, I could start from the bottom, but I'm just grabbing this one because I didn't open the charts until 10 o'clock, and this is 9:40. But I just want to walk you through the process. And then there was a retracement, but this low was not taken. Afterwards, there was a new high, but this low was made in order to make this high. So then during the retracement, we had a low taken. So that was step 2. So the first step is make a new high. Second step is sweep a low, which happened here. And the third step is to continue in the trending direction. So, oops, this high. So now we need this high to be broken, which only occurred over here, right here. Once that high was broken, we went from the previous high to the lowest low in between the previous high and the current high, which was here. And you want to put a Fibonacci on it. And after the new high was made, you want to see a retracement to 30% of this manipulation zone. So this area where it showed a down movement, even though price was bullish and making higher highs, that manipulation is where we want to see price retrace to 30%. So on this side, it was retracing and retracing, retracing, and it got 2 ticks away from the 30% right here. And then price made a bullish move, made a new high. And so we abandoned this idea. But if it had trickled down 2 more ticks past 30%, we would have been in a long for 5 points. And we would have had a 5-point stop loss. Let's see. Entrance at 31. Well, I'll just grab the tool. So this would have been the entrance. This would have been the trade. Stop loss here, take profit here, entry in the center. But you can see it almost got there, but it didn't quite make it. So in a nutshell, that's the scalping strategy. And then once a new high was made, we abandoned that idea and we continue to look for new lows to be swept. Once another low is swept, then we wait for a new high, and that becomes the new setup. So in this case, we're making highs, but if you look at the lows, all the lows are being respected. None have been swept yet, so we do not have a setup. But our lowest low is here right now, swing low. Swing low is defined by a low with a higher low to the left and to the right. Okay, now we do have step 2 satisfied. We did have a low taken. Now let's see if price is willing to make a new high. Just getting everything set up just in case. But if it makes a new low, we'll adjust the Fibonacci to include the entire range. Okay, since it's moving away from the high, I should have plenty of time once it starts to retrace back up or starts to move back towards highs to then draw my Fibonacci. I only drew it while price was moving because at the time we were right here and it could have easily made a new high in that time period. And drawing the Fibonacci, moving the long tool, going in and creating a limit order. Sometimes you don't have enough time to do all those things between the time that it makes a new high and retraces 30%. That occasionally can happen within 5 or 10 seconds. Okay, I'll remove this line because we've had several lows swept and we can see them. We had one here, second one, third one, fourth one. Okay. Let's see if it's put a low in. Draw this Fibonacci again and see if that is indeed the low. And we're going to look for a new high to be made, and we'll look for a scalp once the high is made. Hmm. Okay, almost there, not quite. Equal highs. Yeah, we do have a lot of equal highs and lows. You're right. Especially here, here. Equal lows there, equal lows here. This one. Yep, bunch of equal lows. SMT, let's see what the other indices are doing. Yeah, the other indices seem to be running with against the U.S. dollar. They're doing opposites. But you're right. Nasdaq looks like it's on a program of its own. And from the looks of things, it looks like the Dow and S&P are slightly bullish. Well, yeah, they're still bullish, coming out of a retracement, but they did struggle to make a new high last time. Well, S&P did, and the Dow didn't have an issue. It did make a new high. I'm looking at the hourly chart. Let's see. Yep, the dollar looks like it's in between a sell and a buy zone, so it's a little indecisive right now. We'll have to see what it decides to do. But yeah, Nasdaq is definitely running its own program over here. All right, we'll wait and see if we get a retracement. But if it gets too far away, then we'll just move on to and look for another setup. Generally, if it gets 20, 25 points away, I'll just scrap it. Or if it makes a swing low and then creates a new high, I'll scrap it then, regardless of how far away from my entry it is. So far, we haven't made any swing lows, so I haven't had to abandon the trade. All right. Hey, no problem, Chris. Congratulations. I'm happy that you were able to bounce back this morning and your account is in good standing. It's excellent. Mark up this fair value gap here. Okay, right to the edge. Now let's see what it wants to do. If it makes a new high, I'll cancel the limit order, and it looks like since this low was swept, we may actually have another setup. We're running and grab some coffee while we wait. Okay. All right. I think I'll cancel the limit order now. We'll continue looking for another setup. We can make it above this purple line, then we'll actually have another setup that's already completed. Anyone on the channel now who's not familiar with the setup, we are bullish at the moment, so we're looking for a long. We had a high made here. Afterwards, we look for a low to be swept, which we had a swing low. It finally broke down, took out that low. And now we're just looking for a new high to be made. So then we can look for a long from this point to this point, which would be the manipulation move down. We'll be looking for, once it exits this area, we'll be looking for a retracement back in to either 30, 50, or 70%. or honestly, really anywhere in between. If you're conflicted between 30 and 50%, you can easily place your order in the middle at 40%. And yeah, Chris, it looks like you were seeing the market well this morning, and you had a good understanding of where liquidity was and where the next draw would be. So congratulations. I You're in this one. Okay, this one actually hasn't set up yet. This markup I placed here, we're still waiting for the high to be made. I just was walking everyone through the setup, and also just trying to be ready as at the time price was up here. So I thought we were getting ready to eclipse that high, and this would be the new setup. But this setup hasn't materialized yet. In fact, now it's just made a new low, so we would have to extend the range down even more. Yep. Chris, the current setup is down here. This is the one that has been validated, and the one that I originally had a limit order on. Yeah, this is the original entry at 30%, which is where you see the stop loss at. So this is a low risk entry. It's an entry at 49 and an exit at 43, so only 3 points. Right now, price action is not looking very strong, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was a lower movement. Keep bouncing up against this 50% of this fair value gap. I'm gonna move up. Okay, break even now. Risk off trade. Let's see what happens next. There it goes. Okay. Almost delivered and then hit the stop loss. But I did move my stop loss up. I'm okay with it. Um, Yeah, the reason why I dropped it earlier was because price looked like it was going to go and make a new high. Also in this whole area, we're waiting for it to retrace, and it came all the way down. Well, it came almost to our open, but it didn't. And so because of that, I was a little nervous about it, just because I knew once it finally broke through an area that it was struggling with before, it might break through with a bit too much speed for our 5 point stop loss to absorb. Um, but that's the way it is, and you just have to continue to take setups, and overall the numbers will work out for you. But again, like I said, that was a low risk setup because I was originally wanting to enter at 30%. Price was already below 30% when I clicked my limit order. So it just immediately threw me into a trade, but it still held my stop loss, assuming I entered at the original entry spot, but I actually entered somewhere in the middle. And so my stop loss was 3 points instead of 5. Once price moved up, once I had it move up, I believe almost 2 points, then I moved my stop loss to break even. So at that point, it was, it worked out. It was going to be a great trade. And if it didn't, we break even and then we move on. Oh, excellent, Anis. Excellent. So anyone who was looking at the 50% entry here, oops, let me just move this over. Right, they're still in the trade. It's not delivered yet. It's not hit stop loss. It's right at the entry. Let me go and check out the some of the other charts just to see how the other indices are doing as well as the dollar. Okay. Okay, on the 1 hour, all indices are bullish, and so is the U.S. dollar. We generally like to see the dollar moving in the opposite direction of the indices. Okay. Oh, last trade of the day. Okay. Yeah, and as I realize it's Friday and it's afternoon for you, and it's what's your weekend in Morocco like? Is it Friday, Saturday, or is it Saturday, Sunday? Okay, 50% entries just delivered profit. Actually, two candles ago, it dipped right outside of the green zone here, and then two candles later, if you had 10 contracts on or so, they all delivered. All right, let's move over to the sideline. Let's get ready for the next setup. Delete this fair value gap. Delete this line. Shrink our chart slightly. All right, we're bullish, so let's continue looking for higher prices. And then if we can get a new high, then we have a new setup. The only thing is this setup, the manipulation zone is going to be from the most recent high to the most recent low. So the range is going to be this large. Okay, so we did actually make that high. So this setup is a valid setup. Oh, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, excellent. And it's where you're looking to take profit. Oh, I see. 16,884. Okay. These equal highs. Okay, I see. Yep. These equal highs from Wednesday night. Looks like Wednesday night at 9:30 and Thursday morning at 1:30. Oh, okay. Okay, we have a new high put in. We'll mark up a swing low and see if price wants to come and take that out. Oh, excellent. Let's see, how far did we get? Oh, 876. Almost, Ennis. You're almost there. And let's see if this fair value gap can hold. And did you enter at like 837 level, or did you enter around like 850? Yeah, I agree, Annis. This week's price action was all over the place. It was definitely meant to trip up day traders. I know a lot of day traders doing FOMC. They pretty much cut out after Wednesday morning, so they let the Wednesday afternoon FOMC session move without them, and then they just do something else and take a break Thursday, Friday, and come back the following week. Uh, but you're right. This week's price action wasn't easy. It definitely was difficult. I had my most difficult day yesterday. So I'm hoping that today is a rebound day and I can head into the weekend feeling good about this week. Okay, 852. Got it. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, I wasn't sure which fair value gap you took, but I see this one here around 850, 852 that had an entry around 1045. All right, just a couple minutes before the hour, so it's almost 11 o'clock. All right, so now we've had a low swept. Let's see if price can return bullish and take out the high. This is what we're looking for here. Hey, we lost that level. There's a fair value gap. Here's another one. Hmm. Okay, so we've had a market structure shift on a 30-second chart. It doesn't mean we're bearish yet, but it does mean we need to start looking, or we need to stop looking for longs um, until price returns in this area and potentially makes a new high. We're not really looking for longs, but we're not actively looking for shorts just yet either. Now we need price to show us a little bit more. But while we wait for that, I think it's good if we take a peek at some of the other. Okay, market structure shift here as well. All right, so the 2 minute, we're still bullish. Everything above the 1 minute, we're still bullish. So for that reason, we're not. That's why I said we're not going to immediately just look for shorts, but we are going to put the pause on looking for longs until price shows us that it is willing to continue. Let's see if we can't get above 876. All right, anyone new to the chat? This is your first time here, or you've not been here many times? Don't be shy. Jump in the chat, say hello, ask questions if you have any. We're a friendly community here, and we wouldn't mind helping if anyone needs help or just want to discuss a trade setup they're looking at. Or if you just want to say hi and talk about what you got going on this weekend. All right, another low put in. Let's get rid of this guy. See if price can close inside of the fair value gap. Okay. So what we had is we had a long wick down to just before one tick away from 50% of this fair value gap, the lower one. And when he had price immediately reject off of that back into the previous fair value gap and close near the 50% line. Let's now check out the next couple candles and see if that trend continues, if we can see higher prices, or if this was just a temporary stop and we're going to see lower prices soon. Sweet. All right, great. See if we can't get over that previous high. Continue moving upwards. So now we had a close above the fair value gap again. Oh, how old is she? My brother is coaching his son's team, and they are, I think they're 8 years old now. So I don't know what age division. I guess that's probably like 8 and under type division. And yeah, it's funny to watch them where you have all skill levels. You have half of them, they've barely seen the game and definitely have never played it, rarely dribble a basketball. And then you have a couple that you can tell they are serious about playing and they are out there to win. So you have it all over the spectrum. But at their age, you just want them to have a good time. Oh, 10? Okay. Well, that's a good age to get them. Once you get them, I guess, involved into the fundamentals and get them understanding the strategy of the game, this will be good for them. They'll be in middle school in a couple years and they can start thinking about whether they want to represent their school. Give them some extracurricular activities to do. I remember when I was growing up, I don't even think there was enough girls that age playing basketball. So occasionally you would see one or two girls on a the boys team. It's great. If she loves it, encourage it for sure. And great that you're involved. It's nothing like having your parent involved in your activities growing up. Well, good luck with the games. Hopefully, everything goes well. And the girls have a good time, and you know, a win would be nice too. All right, price still bouncing in between these fair value gaps. Now we have a new low put in. All right, let's get rid of this one. Anyone looking for a short, there's a setup right here. Okay, now that that long has been taken, let's go back to our other time frames and see if now the 2 minute and above is impacted. Okay, yep. So we have market structure break on the 2 minute and the 3, 4. Yep. Okay. And we can get rid of this as well. Yep. Since I know that generally there's a macro run between 10:50 and 11:10, definitely going to hold off until after 11:10. You can see this, you know, right around 10:50 is when we had this impulse candle. 30, actually, yeah, the 30 seconds prior to 10:50. So we had this impulse candle. We had a new high put in, but then we had it break all the way back down as we're closing out the macro at 11:10. So I'm just going to wait until that completes and see if this was a liquidity grab or if we're going to start running for all the lows created this morning. Hmm. Well, it was a good setup anyway. Yeah, not all trades run to the conclusion, or they do, but they'll definitely pull back on you sometime and try to shake you out of a trade. But now that the macro is completed, let's now see if price wants to continue lower or if that was just for the macro's sake. Okay. We've now made two new lows in a sense, so potentially we're going lower. Hmm. Okay, 30% are in. 30% are winners. Congratulations to anyone who took the 30% entry. Okay, limit order canceled. Okay, I'm gonna go and get my last cup of coffee, and we got about 45 minutes left in this session, so I'll be right back. Let's see. What did I miss? Okay, so tapped into the anyone wanted a 30% retracement. That was just before I left. Delivered that for them. Traded back up into where I had my entry at 50%. 59. Okay, let's align that trade for anyone who's in the middle of it. Oh, okay, it already delivered. Okay. Oh, it even delivered. This was also 70%. Barely tapped you in by one tick. So 0 drawdown on this one. And then out the very next candle. So 70% obviously is your lowest risk, but it also has the lowest entry rate. So a lot of times price will only come back to 30 or 50% and then move on. But in the event that you get an entry, it is the lowest risk, and you can see how quickly it delivers. Right, and this is all while price is bullish. It delivered 30%, and then it delivered on the next 30, 50, and 70. So price is bullish, but it's delivering short entries. All right, so now we are, I believe, let me just take a Fibonacci from this top area down. Let's just see where we are in the retracement. Okay, so we just above 50%. By making it all the way down here, price did turn into bearish by sweeping lows on the way down. And so it hasn't reclaimed its bullish status yet. Let's see, or maybe it has. Let me see. Eclipse there. Okay, actually, I take that back. It did when we eclipsed here, this high. Broke down, but it's still delivering up. So what we want to do now is we would just want to wait. I mean, it's in the middle of a zone, which is not favorable. It's not exactly what we're looking for. So if we're going to look for a new setup, we've already had one setup here and a second one, whereas the first one was a long, the second one was a short, and now we're right in the center of both of those entries and right in the center of this leg downwards. So we want to wait until price exits this area before we look for another setup. So let's just give it a chance to do that. Okay, while price is climbing and we're waiting for it to settle and show us which direction it's going, just want to encourage all our viewers to like the video so YouTube can promote it to other traders and to others looking for live streams. And if this is your first go around, or if you're enjoying the content and you want to join more sessions, please subscribe so you can get invitations for all future live streams, as well as reminders 30 minutes prior to the live stream going on live. And welcome and thank you for joining the channel today. Set a goal for 100 subscribers to the channel by the end of the day. That means we need 10 more. So between the rest of this morning session and this afternoon session, let's see if we can get 10 more subscribers and finish the week off with 100 strong. And to all who have already subscribed, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad that you're here and part of the community. And I hope to see and speak to you as we continue forward. Okay, we're close to making a new high, so complete rebound from the breakdown in price. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go through all the other time frames, the 1 through the 5 minute, just to see which ones had a market structure shifts. And then even though they had a market structure shift, I still wanted to wait because we've been bullish for so long. I wanted to make sure that we were actually going away from bullish status, and it looks like either we're just going to consolidate or we're returning bullish. And so we want to continue to monitor price and just watch the candles print until we get a break above 16,876. When we get a break above, then we'll start looking for the next few steps in our setup. Right, it was a little risky, but there was a setup earlier in this leg up. I didn't want to point it out because I was hoping to avoid trading in this area just because it can be it can include extra risk. But once we passed this purple line on the way up, we sort of became bullish again because we did have a market structure shift. So then we were looking for a low to be swept, which happened here. This was a swing low, right? This white candle here was sort of the midpoint. Price broke down, made a new high right here. So in that case, this would have been your manipulation. Price made a new high, traded down 2 candles later, and then bought out of it. So it actually did create a setup, but one that we weren't really interested in. Okay, let me stop yapping about an old setup because it looks like we might get a new setup. So we do have a new high. We also have a new low. Oh, I'm sorry, a low that was swept. This one. And now we're just waiting for a new high. If we can get above 879.50. Okay. Just want to put that there just to make sure it's already set up, just in case we need it. Okay. Instead of giving us our entry, which is about a point below, it came down to the previous high. Okay, if we eclipse 85, I'm going to remove the limit order. Okay. That's our equal highs. I believe Anis was targeting earlier. He was in a trade and targeting 16,884. That's now been eclipsed. So now we want to wait and see what price wants to do now that it's taken out equal highs from 2 days ago. And give this limit order another go. Yeah, and that's a tough pill to swallow. You're absolutely right. It happens to the best of all of us. I hate it when that happens because it always seems like the analysis was accurate. The timing was just slightly early. All right, there's a tap into 30% and most likely a delivery on profit to whoever took that trade. Oops. Okay, yep, it sure did deliver. Congrats to anyone who took the 30% entry. Sweet. 50% just delivered. Okay, let's see if we're seeking higher prices. Just want to continue following price. Being agile and just taking what it gives us. Okay, we've passed 11:30. So we're in the final half hour before lunch. 9:40. Okay. Oh, I see. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, okay. All right, I got it. So, just recently, yep. So just recently, this move upwards, we at 885, 16,885, looks like we crossed the high of yesterday. So the daily high from yesterday has now been taken. Um, Generally, that's what I see as a daily goal is to take out the extreme from the previous day. Now that that's happened, um, I don't really have a bias for this afternoon. We can still trade without that bias, but just understand that once price meets the objective, even if we've been bullish all day, that's when you could get a big pullback or you can get consolidation for hours. Variety of things can happen once it's met its objective. But I just wanted to point that out. I was looking at the daily chart and saw we just eclipsed yesterday's candle. Okay. Yep, we have 5 minutes left. So let's see what happens on this candle. A little over 5 minutes. Yep, I can't help but continue to stare at these equal lows at 16,757. All right, market structure shift on the 30-second. Yeah, let's make this 5 minute a little larger so we can use it. Okay, we had a new low put in after a swing high. Let's see if now price wants to sweep this high and then continue lower. Okay. I would have liked to have gotten at least one tick higher. I see it as equal highs right now. Let's wait. Okay, let's remove this line. We don't need it any longer. Let's also remove this one. Once again, take a look at the range of this area and just see where we are now. Okay, we're right at the 50% mark. We dipped just below. And if you think about a price leg, above 50% would be premium, where you'd be looking for shorts. Below 50% would be discount, where you'd be looking for longs. We see price continues to dip below 50% and reject back above. So let's monitor that and make sure this isn't just a retracement for higher prices. Let's drop the fair value gap. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Anis, that we would be finishing the day near the high. And I'm sure there will be a TGIF kind of pullback later on, anywhere from 2 to 3:30. But I mean, but I've seen them happen as early as during the lunch hour. And for anyone unfamiliar with the TGIF setup, you essentially, let me just walk you through this quickly. Alrighty, so it's basically taken off of the weekly setup. And let's see. All right. Finally. Okay, so what we want to see is, actually I like the weekly candle now. A lot of times you find these where the wick above the body and the wick below the body are the same size. Like you have it here on the week of November 13th. It's just, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it seems like that's a phenomenon that happens. And we have it here, we have it here, we have it here. This one doesn't have a wick above or below, so we have it there. It's just pretty common. So what you want to do is you want to put a Fibonacci on the weekly candle from wick to wick whenever it starts retracing, right? Because it's pretty much been bullish all week. And let me just stretch this out a bit. Okay. Change this template to the TGIF. Right. And then we have a reasonable expectation for price to retrace 20%. Now, this doesn't mean this is where it closes, but sometime this afternoon, we have an expectation that price will retrace to 16,760, and then it may buy back up to close the day up here or make a new high. You never know. But we do have a reasonable expectation that we'll get a retracement to 760. And it's only because what you want to see is you want to see price on Friday at the end of the week at the extreme point of the range, and then you wait for the afternoon and you see a pullback of 20%. So that's what the TGIF is. We got that from ICT. For anyone who's not familiar with his work, he's hugely popular on YouTube. You can look him up, or just search for Inner Circle Trader. Okay. I'm gonna drop back down to the 30-second. Just wanted to throw that out there for anyone who wasn't familiar with the TGIF. Oh, okay. Got it on ES. Yep. Okay, so we see price continue to put in lower values. So there'll be something to continue to monitor. We have 10 minutes before the lunch hour starts. So it could continue during lunch. It may consolidate. It could even put in higher values and wait until 1 to 2 o'clock and then start to do a full retracement. But again, we don't want to pick tops or bottoms. We don't want to, I guess, speculate on where price is going in the future. We just want to watch it since we're doing scalps, short-term scalps. We just want to watch price action and see where is it right now and where has it been recently. Okay, so we never did have a break of this high. We had it equal, and then we did see it break down. I wouldn't have taken this as a break. I would have saw this as just an equal, not necessarily a break. But if someone did see this as a break and they took this setup, clearly they're winners because of how price action is now. We can see it. But let me grab the short tool. Right. So we had a new low placed here. And then we just saw price buy up and then sell out at the bottom. So that was a win for them. If you didn't take this as a break of structure, the next one that you would have been looking for is, okay. So it hasn't swept a high yet. That was the closest that has happened so far. What you can do is drop down to the 15-second, which gives you twice as many candles. And in that case, a lot of times you will see a high swept. Let's see, did we get one? We did, right here. So we have a high with a lower high to the left and a lower high to the right. That becomes our swing high. This fourth candle ended up breaking. And then we saw lower prices. So in that case, tool, align it to 30%. Okay, the low was made there. All right, so price came up, tapped it exactly. So if you had more than three or four contracts, you probably didn't get them all filled, but it did tap in, and immediately the next candle sold out. Came back, tapped in again, and now we just see it. Oh, and it sold out here. So twice it came up, tapped 30%, and was out of the range. So congratulations to anyone who saw that setup and took it. Okay, new low here. Swing high here. New low there. Swing high taken. So step one, step two. Now we made a new low, so that's step three. There's your setup. Okay. Trade is already in progress. Trade's over. Whoever took that one, congratulations. You're a winner on the 30% entry. Now let's see, did 50% tap in? It did. 50% tapped in as well. So 30% and 50%. Congrats. 2 back-to-back setups in a matter of 5 minutes. Actually, if you look at 1, 2, 3 setups right in this range, all 3 delivering winners. Congratulations to anyone who took those. All right, let's remove some of this so we can clearly see our charts. Okay. Now we're just waiting for the next swing high to be taken. Closest swing high to current price is right here. If it can close below, close right on it. So for now, our closest swing high is here. Okay, let's see if we can move this down and have our new swing high be here. Yep. Okay, that worked. And actually, I just noticed we're still on the 15-second. Let's get back over on the 30. Okay, now we have a sweep of that high. Let's see if now we have a breakdown and a new low is created. Well, thank you, Ennis. Yeah, it's definitely working this morning, which is good. After yesterday, yesterday was a tough day. That's all I can say. At least the morning session was. Okay. So we had on the last, I'm looking at the 5-minute chart in the lower left-hand corner. On the last leg up we had that made the high of the week and also took out yesterday's high. We just had a 70% retracement. So now that we see these large bullish candles, let's just sit back and watch for a bit and see if we're actually going to take over and make new highs. and this was just a retracement, or this was just the start of the retracement. We're going to now put in a little higher prices, getting to this fair value gap on the 5-minute, and then collapse for even lower prices. So we're watching out for those two phenomenons. And you can see here on the 30-second, these large fair value gaps that coincide with the 5-minute fair value gaps. Okay. There's one, and here's two. Okay, if we're going to be bullish, we want to see price break through both of these. We want to see a retest of the upper one, and then we want to see these highs taken up at 887. Okay, we had it break into this fair value gap by just a couple ticks. Okay. Oh, good. Interested to find out, see what your findings are and what your success rate is versus mine. I'm going to continue back testing as well. I usually try to go back and look on the sessions that we had and see if there's any I missed, or any that didn't work out, and maybe there was something I should have seen that would have gave me that indication beforehand. So that's typically how I do back testing. And then sometimes I'll jump over to another chart, like jump over to the Dow or to S&P, because those charts aren't written up and I don't have any Fibonacci's or any type of graphics on there. So it's just clean charts. And I can have a session going over a 3 or 4 week period, and keep myself honest. That's the most important thing during back testing, is to be honest with what you see and what your results would have been. Yeah, that's true. In this retracement, there wasn't a market structure shift. Nothing yet. So we're still bullish. I just wanted to leave a little room for this fair value gap to send price lower. All right, everyone, 12 o'clock. We're here at the lunch hour. This is generally where we take a break for an hour. We come back for the afternoon session. So I want to thank everyone for joining the morning session. Thanks for being here. Thanks for a good session. There was some good dialogue in the chat. And again, for everyone who wants to support the channel, please like and subscribe. We'd like to see you again. And we'd also like for YouTube to promote us to other traders so we can grow. With that being said, yes, today was a good morning. We had a good session. There was plenty of setups. The setups worked out for anyone who wanted to take them. I hope they're beginning to be a little easier to spot. But I'll continue calling them out. I'll continue telling you what I see. And in a lot of cases, it's just me speaking out loud for myself. But hopefully you gain some value from what I'm saying and what I'm showing. And I hope to see you again. We'll be back in 1 hour for the afternoon session. And for everyone who's not joining, have a great weekend and happy Friday.